I've gone from one of the most skinny of skinny guys, particularly in my triceps, to gaining a great amount of triceps mass. And I did it all with just one exercise and one variation off of that exercise, which exclusively has built all my triceps mass. You see, I have 2 shoulder injuries, so I can't do any type of pressing movement whatsoever. No bench pressing, no overhead movements, no dips. So all my tricep mass has come from this one exercise and one variation off of it. We'll talk about why I think certain exercises for triceps, although somewhat effective, should generally be avoided. But first, let's look a little bit at the triceps anatomy. The medial head, which is the smallest of the 3 head structures in the triceps, is worked best with close grip bench pressing. The medial head is not going to give you that thick, meaty, massive triceps look that most of you are looking for. These 2 heads, the long head and lateral head, they make up the vast amount of mass for your upper arms. And since triceps make up 2/3 of your upper arm size, spending a lot of time with this and learning how to do it right and not skipping triceps is going to be very important at keeping you from looking like a skinny guy. You're going to learn the #1 triceps exercise that will come out of this that will give you all the mass you will ever need. And guess what? This was approved by Arnold. It was his favorite exercise as well for the triceps. All right, now let's focus on the lateral head. It is the head that makes the outside of your arm look big, which most people desire, and it is located on the outside of your upper arm. It is worked best by rope pushdowns, diamond push-ups, and weighted dips. The rope pushdown being the superior due to the ease of adding resistance and least wear and tear on the joints. Next is the long head. It is located on the inside of your upper arm. It is important to note that the long head is connected to the shoulder, and thus, to work this part the best, the elbow should be overhead or close to overhead as possible to work this triceps part from its fully stretched position. The raising of the elbows to at least eye level when performing exercises is what is necessary in order to accomplish this. The best exercise to get mass for this triceps head is the overhead version of what we just talked about, what I call the overhead triceps rope. Now, you may hear of dumbbell kickbacks as an exercise that people will use to work the long head of the triceps, but I can tell you, you can totally skip it. It's extremely inefficient. It uses momentum and you can't go heavy on it. Just totally get rid of it. You won't need it. The other exercise we need to talk about here for the long head is skull crushers. This is highly effective at building long head mass, but it is also one of the most stressing exercises that you could ever do for your elbows. Don't believe me? Do a search for how to minimize elbow pain when doing skull crushers and you'll get quite a few results. And as you progress and the weight gets heavier and heavier, without a spotter, you're not going to want to do those because you're not going to be comfortable that you're not going to hurt yourself. The overhead triceps rope will be everything you need it to do. So why don't I recommend a bar or easy bar or something like that for doing this type of exercise on the rope instead? And the reason is simple. These are harder on your wrists. The rope allows you to use your hands in a neutral position so that the stress in your wrists are not that great. And you're going to get very fast to the point where you're going to be using heavy weight, and you don't want to have wrist issues. So now you know the exercise. It's the triceps rope, and the only variation we're going to do is overhead so we can hit both heads of the triceps equally. Let's look first at what not to do. Now this is the kind of cheating I see over and over. You press down, but then you come up too fast with the rope or any other exercise, and so you're working hard half the muscle on the concentric but not on the eccentric when you raise it back up or lower the weight. And that is where most of the muscle is built. And if you're in this habit right here, this bad habit, then I suggest that you at first try to make the eccentric and concentric times equal, but eventually you're going to want to make the eccentric, the lowering of the weight, you're going to want to make that actually last longer than the concentric portion. You will build more muscle. So don't use bad form. Let's finish it up now with the exact routine that you should do. Triceps have a good mix of slow and fast twitch muscle fibers, which means we need to work both of them in 1 week. The way we do this is we mix heavy sets with lighter sets in the same week. The goal is to get at least 10 sets for triceps in a week. It doesn't matter how you split this up, if you do this in 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days. Just make sure everything is equal with both the push downs and with the overheads, which we'll show in a moment. Typically, I like to do the heavy sets first, not always, but typically the heavy sets. And what you want to do is pick a weight where you can only do, with good form, 4 to 6 reps. That is your heavy set part of the routine, and you want to do those again for 4 to 6 sets. Then what you will do is switch to higher reps. And this means going 12 to 16 reps. You don't have to do quite as many sets because the long head, which we're working here, is worked some in the first exercise. But pick 3 to 4 sets here and do 12 to 16 rep range with good form. Now we move on to the overhead triceps rope exercise. As you can see, everything is exactly the same. We want to mirror what we did with the rope pushdowns. Heavy sets with 4 to 6 reps, and you do 4 to 6 of those sets, and then you do 3 to 4 sets of 12 to 16 reps, all with good form. This should give you at least 10 sets per week for triceps work, and you should be on your way. And that's the whole thing. Time to get some giant triceps and big arms.